Today, we're going to peek behind the curtain. We're going to deconstruct exactly how a company builds an argument to convince everyone that they are number one in their field. It's going to be fascinating.
So think about it. How do you actually prove you're the best? It's such a massive claim for any company to make, right? Is it really just about having the biggest numbers? Or is it about telling the most powerful story with those numbers? We're going to analyze the strategy here by breaking down a promotional script from a company trying to dominate a very competitive space.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage and look at the competitive arena they're in. Then, we'll get right to the bold claim they're making. After that, we're going to deconstruct their argument, piece by piece. First, the numbers, then their secret weapon, their tech advantage, and finally, how they talk about their rivals. Then we'll put it all together to see the full case they're trying to make. Okay, so our case study today comes from the world of higher education job boards. Now, you have to understand, this is a really crowded, really competitive market. You've got multiple platforms all fighting for the eyeballs of the very same universities and academics. It is a tough, tough place to stand out.
And in a market like this one, just having a good product, well, that's not going to cut it. You have to create a compelling narrative, a really powerful story that convinces people you are the absolute best choice. So we're digging into the promotional script from a company called academicjobs.com, and we're going to see exactly what story they tell to position themselves as the leader of the pack.
So what's their big claim? Well, they don't hold back at all. They come right out and stake their claim for that number one spot, and they use some very, very specific language to do it. You know, what's so interesting here is the language. The script doesn't just say, hey, we're growing. No. It says one platform is storming up the charts. That choice of words immediately paints this picture, this narrative, of a super dynamic, almost unstoppable challenger. It's all about building a story of momentum. Now, of course, any good argument needs some proof, right? So the first pillar of their case is built on data, or maybe more accurately, a very specific presentation of that data. Let's see how they use numbers to try and back up this big claim. And they lead with their biggest, most impressive number, over 52,000 job listings. This is their headline stat. It's designed to immediately give you this sense of massive scale and total market coverage. The message is super simple. We have the most jobs, period. And this visual just drives that point home perfectly. They call for a comparison, putting their huge number of jobs right next to a competitor's. I mean, the gap is enormous. It instantly frames them as the dominant player on this one very important metric. Okay, but wait a minute. The number of job listings, that's only one metric. What about another really key indicator of success? How many people are actually visiting the site? This is where the story gets a little more interesting. So when you look at the raw traffic data from the script's own notes, you see a completely different picture. A major competitor, higheredjobs.com, has almost 9 times the monthly traffic. That's a huge difference. So how on earth does the script handle this pretty obvious weakness in their argument? It pivots. Instead of getting bogged down in a comparison they can't win, the script just reframes the entire narrative. It leans right back into that powerful language of real momentum and storming up the charts. It's a clever strategy. If you can't win on the absolute numbers, you try to win on the story of growth and potential. All right, let's move on to the second pillar of their argument. So, after establishing their version of scale and kind of dodging a potential weakness, the script shifts from pure numbers to technology, and they highlight a unique feature that's meant to set them apart. And the key here is how they position it. The script calls their AI candidate finder the only one of its kind in the entire industry. This is a brilliant move. It immediately carves out a special niche for them. The argument is no longer just about who has the most jobs, but who has the smartest tech. And then the script breaks down what the tool does into these really simple, powerful steps. See, this isn't just tech for the sake of having tech. It's presented as a clear solution to a problem. For a super busy university hiring committee, this sounds like a promise of a faster, way more efficient way to find the perfect person. Okay, and now for the final piece of the puzzle, the direct comparison. A huge part of claiming you're number one is, well, explaining why everyone else isn't. The script does this by strategically framing its rivals, focusing only on the metrics where it knows it has a clear advantage. So let's look at how they talk about jobs.ac.uk. The script admits that the competitor has high traffic,
but immediately contrasts it with their low job count. So the implied argument, the question they're planting in your head is, what good is all that traffic if you don't actually have the product, the jobs that people are there to find? And then, against the traffic leader, hireatjobs.com, the script shifts its focus again. It knows it can't win on traffic here, so it pivots to cost. The argument completely changes to one of value. Yeah, sure, they have more visitors, but we offer a much better price. So, when you put all of these different pieces together, you can really see the complete persuasive case for market leadership that this promotional script is trying to build. And really, it all boils down to these three pillars. First, you have an argument of scale, which is based on having the most jobs. Second, there's an argument of innovation, all centered on a unique AI tool that they claim competitors just don't have. And third, an argument of value, by framing themselves as the more affordable choice. It's a powerful combination designed to create the impression of a clear winner. Which kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. This whole analysis shows how a challenger can pick and choose specific data points, wrap them in really powerful language, and build this compelling story of leadership, even when they don't actually lead on every single metric. It really makes you wonder, in the end, what's more powerful, the raw data itself or the story you decide to tell with it?